Hi, and welcome to Learning with Miss Nancy. And if this is your first time visiting my channel, please like, share, and subscribe so that you can follow all of my videos. Let me ask you a question. Do you like to play pretend? I know I do. So today, we're going to pretend to be detectives. Yes. And a detective is a person who solves mysteries or games or puzzles. And they do that by paying close attention to all of the details. Yes, a good detective uses his or her brain, eyes, nose, ears to figure out and solve a problem or find something that is missing. And today, we're going to be learning detectives. We're going to look at some sentences and figure out what the problems are. You ready? Let's get started. Okay, learning detectives, we have 3 sentences here. And remember, I taught you in my earlier videos that a sentence is a group of words that express a complete thought. A sentence begins with a capital letter and ends with a punctuation mark. And a sentence must make sense. It could be funny, it could be sad, it could ask a question, it could tell you something easy for you to understand. All right, so let's look at sentence number 1. I have a fat cat. Sentence number 2. I have a fat cat. And sentence number 3. I have a fat cat. Now, learning detectives, we know that there are some problems with a few of these sentences. First of all, as we look at the sentences, we know that a sentence begins with a capital letter. So every sentence, sentence number 1 begins with a capital letter. Sentence number 2 begins with a capital letter. And sentence number 3 begins with a capital letter. Okay. We know that a sentence ends with some type of punctuation mark, either a period or a question mark or exclamation point. So these sentences end with punctuation. We know that a sentence must make sense. So all 3 sentences say the exact same thing. I have a fat cat. Number 2, I have a fat cat. And number 3 says the same thing. I have a fat cat. But as a learning detective, we can see that there are some problems. Sentence number 1, I have a fat cat. Doesn't seem to have any problems. Begins with a capital letter I. All of the words are spelled correctly. It ends with a period. And it makes sense. It's telling us something. Right? Sentence number 2 says, I have a fat cat. But as a learning detective, we can tell that there's some problems here. I. That's the wrong I. We need the pronoun I, as in the first sentence. This is a correct spelling of the word I, but that's your eyeball. We wouldn't use that word here, right? So that's wrong. Have is correct. Is correct. Fat is correct. But look at cat. K-A-T. Cat is spelled C-A-T. So we know that the second sentence has a few mistakes. Even though it begins with a capital letter and it ends with a punctuation mark, and it ends with a question mark, and we're not asking a question, it just tells us something. So there's another mistake. So even though it's a sentence, it's incorrect. I, not the correct I, spelled the word cat wrong, and we have the incorrect punctuation. So we wouldn't use sentence number 2. So we can just strike that because it's wrong. Now, let's see if there's anything wrong with sentence number 3. I have a fat. Fat. Ooh, that's not spelled correctly. Fat is spelled F-A-T. Here we have P-H-A-T. It's not spelled correctly. Cat. Spelled correctly and ends in a period. So the mistake here is fat. So the only sentence that's absolutely correct 100% is sentence number 1. I have a fat cat. So as a learning detective, we have solved the problem. Sentence number 2 is incorrect, and sentence number 3 is incorrect. You know what? You are some brilliant learning detectives. Until next time, we'll discover some other mysteries in learning. Bye-bye.